say no to mining on Schedule 4 land.
Question number 3, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Did the acting Prime Minister inform him that he had signed a ministerial certificate suppressing details of the involvement of the GCSB in Operation Debut when he returned from his overseas trip in August 2012? If not, why not?
Honourable Bill English.
On behalf of the Prime Minister, and as I have previously told the House, I think sometime last year, the acting Prime Minister did not inform my office or me that he had signed the certificate because he rightly thought GCSB would inform my office or me. However, it failed to do so.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Can he confirm that in his 4 years as the Minister responsible for the GCSB that the ministerial certificate signed by the acting Prime Minister was the only such certificate signed in that time?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, yes, but of course I wouldn't expect the Deputy Prime Minister to know that because he's not involved in those processes.
Good question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Why did the GCSB Director Ian Fletcher not raise the issue of the ministerial certificate that the acting Prime Minister had signed at their meeting on the 22nd of August, only 5 days after the acting Prime Minister signed it?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, I simply wasn't at the meeting, so I can't answer that question.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Does he stand by his statement that the acting Prime Minister...
Letting my colleague get going.
Order. It is a point of order. It's a point of order. It will be heard in silence.
Mr Speaker, I ask you to reflect on the answer that we've just got. It took me a little while to work my way through it. But, sir, the Prime Minister can't say he was not at a meeting that he was at. He said, on behalf of the Prime Minister, I wasn't at the meeting. The Prime Minister was at the meeting. That's the whole point. He had a meeting with Mr Fletcher.
Speaking to the point of order, Honourable Gerry Brownlee.
Well, I'm sure if the question was asked again, the acting Prime Minister will deal with it adequately. But the point is, he did say that he was unable to answer it as acting Prime Minister because he wasn't at the meeting.
I think the way forward is the question will be asked again.
Very good. Thank you, Mr Speaker. Why did the GCSB Director Ian Fletcher not raise the issue of the ministerial certificate the acting Prime Minister had signed with him at their meeting on 22 August, only 5 days after the acting Prime Minister signed it?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I can't answer that question on behalf of the Prime Minister because while he was at the meeting, I wasn't.
Yeah. No, order. Supplementary question, Andrew Williams. Order. Supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Prime Minister, given that Mr English, Deputy Prime Minister, stated on TV3 News on 3 October 2012, quote, I assumed the intelligence agencies would be informing the Prime Minister about their activities, unquote, how can we believe that the Prime Minister didn't have foreknowledge of that certificate?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I don't think the member has any grounds to make that assumption or not make that assumption. He'd have to direct that question to the Prime Minister in person.
Supplementary?
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Given that he has stated that this was the only ministerial certificate signed in his time as Minister responsible for the GCSB, and that he thinks the GCSB should have told him about the certificate, has he asked the GCSB Director Ian Fletcher for an apology?
Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, these matters have been discussed extensively and assertively.
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
That was a very direct question. It did have a preface about statements that the Prime Minister had made.
Let's have the question again.
It wasn't written down, Mr Speaker. So
I might be able to help.
But the end point of the question was, has he asked Mr Fletcher for an apology, given that it was a ministerial certificate that had never been done before for 4 years?
Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, as I said before, these matters have been discussed extensively and assertively to my knowledge. Again, he would have to ask the Prime Minister in person the question about... but I can only ask the question if I have the knowledge, and actually in my capacity as acting on behalf of the Prime Minister, I don't have that knowledge. You'd have to direct the question to him.
Supplementary question, Andrew Williams.
Mr Speaker, what led the acting Prime Minister to believe that the GCSB had briefed the Prime Minister?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, as I think I've said as I think the Deputy Prime Minister has said publicly, he assumed that because the intelligence agencies met regularly with the Prime Minister, they would be advising him of any higher profile procedure or policy matter that came before him. On reflection, of course, the Deputy Prime Minister would have been better not to have made that assumption.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
In light of what he described as a, quote, red flag about illegal spying being given to him in July, that the status of Mr .com's residency had been discussed in the High Court in August, does he consider that GCSB Director Ian Fletcher fulfilled his duty to him in not briefing him about the case?
Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, Mr Fletcher has fulfilled his duties in respect of uncovering and dealing with a culture of low compliance in the organisation. This is, as outlined in the Kitteridge report, this would be one example where the GCSB could have acted more thoroughly in their relationship with the Prime Minister. And I'm sure in fact I can tell you the Prime Minister has made that view clear to them.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Has the Deputy Prime Minister apologised to the Prime Minister for not briefing him about a ministerial certificate, the like of which had never been signed in his 4 years as Minister?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, yes, but those discussions have also included the necessity to deal with aspects of the way the intelligence agencies operated, which meant in this case the Minister in charge of the agency was not informed, as he should have been, on a matter of some importance.
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Speaker, I seek leave of the House to table a letter from Simpson Grierson lawyers dated the 15th of August 2012 to Ian Fletcher, the Director of the Government Communications Security Bureau, seeking information held by the GCSB about Kim.com and 3 associates.
Leave is sought to table that particular letter. Is there any objection? There appears to be none that can be tabled.
Speaker.
Point of order, Grant Robertson.
Speaker, I seek leave of the House to table a letter from the Government Communications and Security Bureau Director Ian Fletcher to Simpson Grierson lawyers, declining that request but acknowledging that information was held about Mr .com by the GCSB dated the 16th of August.
Leave is sought to table that response letter. Is there any objection? There appears to be none. It can be so tabled. Question number 4, Melissa Lee.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Social Development and I ask,